Yeah, but just to start, what has stood out for you over the last 3 days? It's one of the advantages of being one of the final sessions.
Yeah, I loved all the talk about AdStream. I think it's been really good to get a lot of feedback on that, specifically from both publishers and other vendors.
Yeah.
Viewability is obviously massive this year, and with more and more buyers really taking a lot more of a focus and applying their different types of targeting to that. With around viewability, AdStream provides a great unit for publishers to leverage and to really allow more buyers to consume their content and get on there.
Yeah. So I mean, viewability's sort of been a mess. I mean, is there starting to have, are we starting to see some sort of clarity around it?
I wouldn't say clarity yet to say. I would say that viewability has been talked about quite a bit over the last 6 months to a year. But I would say I think buyers specifically in Q3 really took advantage of historically low revenue spending months and started implementing more and more of their actual campaigns across viewability, which has really caused a lot of an evolution of what's happening on the publisher side and the vendor side of what we have to do together to find ways to create more and more content to give to actual buyers to appease those needs.
But I mean, is there starting to be clarity around the standards?
I think there's a little more standards, yes, and there's more clarity around it, but it needs to continue to get better overall.
So one of the other things is the rise of private marketplaces.
Yes.
And everyone keeps assuring us that they're real this time.
Yeah. We've seen a dramatic increase in it. So if you look at our programmatic revenue over the last year, it's risen to about 40% of it is now coming through private deals. Why is that? Obviously, there's a direct connection between the publisher and the buyer specifically. But when it comes to viewability, now you have that one-to-one connection between the buyer and the supplier. There's a lot more trust. There's a little more attribution you can apply to those deals, which inevitably creates more revenue opportunities for both the pub and the buyer.
Yeah, so in the publisher town hall, there was a lot of sort of grousing about the too many intermediaries and wanting that direct connection.
Yes.
Is that the way that's going to happen?
I think there's a large focus specifically for us. We're a supply-side focused company. Our goal is to build and use all the resources that we have to give to publishers and to go to them and say, here are opportunities for you to connect with buyers, whether it be a demand-side platform, a trading desk, an agency, or a brand. How can you connect with them? Via deal ID, via some sort of tag, depending on how both of the sides want to interact. But the connection at the end of the day needs to be between both the buyer and the seller and more or less the plumbing in between.
Yeah. How about ad fraud? I mean, how big of a problem is? It's funny because like everyone was talking about bots, and then all of a sudden everyone moved on to ad blocking.
I mean, nefarious traffic was a huge issue, 2014 specifically, where a lot more light came out around it. I think that the media verification companies have done a phenomenal job identifying different ways to really find those opportunities, and then now they're taking that information and passing it to publishers, which is what it needed to be doing at the very beginning of it, where it started more on the buy side, then went to the publisher side. I think in viewability, it goes back to that, where they've actually focused a little more with publishers to give them more information up front, and now they can start working together with fraud and with viewability to give them what's going on and actually expose that more to buyers and find those different types of areas.
Where specifically are the biggest problems related to fraud? I mean, is it in the sort of open exchanges?
It just depends. I mean, when you're working with publishers and publishers have various different ways they're accumulating traffic, where are they getting it from? Knowing the sources that you're working with, understanding who those different types of traffic sources are, and then identifying and putting different types of technologies in place to really audit them and know that at the end of the day, I know what my audience profile looks like and I know where my traffic is coming from and how I can review it at any time.
And how about mobile monetization? It's another one of our big issues on the challenge board.
Very excited about mobile monetization. So I think a very big thing we're going to see this year is both from the consumer side and the industry side is more OTT content coming into the actual industry, specifically digital. So the average user...
Explain what you mean by that.
So the average user has 3 digital devices. And so there's a lot more of premium broadcaster content coming into live streaming on desktop, onto your mobile phone, onto some sort of tablet, and then finally connected devices. And so you're watching, say, like an HBO Go, or you're watching Netflix across one of those different areas. Well, that's great for the industry because as a publisher, you're creating more opportunities for buyers to come in and take those TV advertising dollars and move it across the board and allow them to get more opportunities to jump into the digital environment and now spend more across that side.
I mean, I feel like the industry's been talking about TV money moving in for a long time.
Yes, yeah. I mean, there was big challenges around it. Nefarious traffic was a big one. Another one was viewability. And then finally, just the lack of quality video supply has really held back a lot of the TV dollars coming across. But I think we've really done a great job cleaning up the nefarious stuff. I think the viewability part is now kind of our big challenge to figure out how we can get better standards and better, I would say, unique targeting capabilities and different ways that publishers can take ways to understand what they're doing and understand more around their units to give those to buyers. But the TV money is there, and it would be very good for everyone in this room.
Yeah. So one of the things that came up a lot in the, by several people in the town hall was, and I was surprised that it's still an issue, the issue of continuing to get 30-second spots instead of 15.
Yeah. I mean, there definitely needs to be a little more of an evolution on the actual publisher side for broadcasters when you're taking it into more of the mobile area. So a 30-second spot, a 15-second spot, they're great for desktop, but on the mobile side, shortening those down and creating actual content for the specific environment, specifically in mobile, will definitely help. But that, I would say, needs to continue to get even better on the video side.
What are you seeing as far as 15s versus 30s? Like, I mean, percentage-wise.
In mobile, I'd say there's a higher amount of 15s for sure.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think it needs to get even shorter?
Maybe. I think in the 10-second to 15 seconds, we're seeing a little more of that, but absolutely needs to get down to 15.
So if we're back here in a year, what are we talking about that we're not talking about as much right now?
I mean, it's been a big buzzword for a while, but programmatic TV. I think the convergence of TV and digital is very real. Digital allows much more scale for buyers than it does specifically on the TV side, a little more targeting too. And as publishers, and we continue to have great broadcaster content available, then more TV money will continue to come over, and there's different methodologies of really automating ways to buy is going to happen.
How's programmatic TV going to look different from programmatic online?
I think there'll be significant in a couple of ways. So really, the way that TV is transacted today versus digital is significantly different. So it's going to take a little longer for those workflows to get actually put in place. But the way that they use rating points today in TV specifically will be based on shows, and then on actual digital environments, more on data and demo and behavior.
I want to open it up to questions. We have a couple minutes left. Tyler's got a microphone. Anyone? So if you what did we not discuss enough?
I'm really excited to see the viewability piece next, as well as the ad blocking. I think both of those are huge, and I'm excited to see those.
So are you a believer in ad blocking as a major issue?
Yes, I think it's a significant issue.
Yeah. So how are you guys going to?
We're working with publishers to see what we can do to help, but education to the actual environment.
Do you think that'll be enough? I mean, do publishers need to just cut off people who are using ad blockers if they can?
I don't know if you ever want to cut off a user particularly, but definitely focus on what we can do to get there. Yeah.
I mean, why not? I mean, it's part of the deal, right?
Yeah, but it's.
I think we'll see. I mean, I would guess that particularly broadcasters can get away with that. If you're going to ESPN to watch sports highlights, I don't see why ESPN shouldn't just be like, here's an ad blocker, you're not seeing it.
Yeah, I mean that could be a way of punishing it. I think it's a lot of the test, retest, and test areas.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Perfect.
Mike, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.